Good evening, investors. My name is Kevin Vincent. I'm part of the MarketsMojo's product team, and today I will be taking you through some of our key premium features. And at the end of the webinar, I hope that you have extracted or are equipped to extract as much value as you can from our services. And so let's get started. So disclaimer first. We emphasize that all investors should use the information on the webinar merely as a resource to enhance your own research and understanding. Nothing discussed in this webinar should be considered investment advice. We strongly advise all participants to check with certified experts before taking any investment decision. Investment in securities is subject to market risks. Past performance should not be construed as a guarantee for future returns. Investments in equity and equity-related securities involve a high degree of risk, and users should not invest unless they can afford to take the risk on their investments. Right. So, so we have been. So, if you are a frequent user at MarketsMojo, you would have noticed that it's our 9th anniversary, and to let you know that today is the 9th anniversary. We have just completed 9 years, and we are really glad that we've achieved this milestone. And also another part is that our founder, a founder of MarketsMojo, Dr. Mohit Batra, is also celebrating his 50th birthday. So happy birthday to you, Mohit. So before we get started, because it's our 9th anniversary and today is it. We are giving out our best discounts out there on our platform. Keep in mind that these discounts won't be available after today. It's ending today. So essentially, once you buy a Mojo 1 package, right, for 25,000 rupees for 1 year, you get 2 years free. It's an 83% discount. Similarly, you can also go for the Mojo Professional, which is 79.99 for 1 year, and you get 2 years free, 70% discount. Keep in mind that these discounts are not going to be remaining on our platform. The prices are eventually no. Tomorrow the prices are going to rise. Today is the final day, so take advantage of this and make sure you extend your services or you get into this new platform, and make sure you extract as much value as you can from MarketsMojo. Again, it's ending today, right? So, markets have been, by the way, very crazy. Yesterday, actually, if you look 3 days back, the markets, it's been a roller coaster, right? Like 3 days ago, markets were up by 3%. Yesterday, they almost went down by 8-9%, and then today we are up by 3%. Elections were also kind of crazy. It's been a very chaotic day. Markets have been very volatile. So if you have managed to stay sane, or managed to stay rational, kudos to you. You may be in the top 1% of all the investors in the space, right? So today, so let's get started. So the first step, right, when it comes to MarketsMojo, is that we essentially cover all the research, all the companies across the market listed. We are essentially covering 100% of the market when it comes to research reports. These are all live and it's completely detailed out. And the best part about it is that it is completely data driven. There is no emotional element here, right? So unlike a lot of people, not a lot of people, unlike some people who would have seen yesterday's price action and decided to exit their complete portfolio, and today, after seeing the markets have climbed up, bought back in, those kind of mistakes are essentially what we are trying to avoid here, right? Now, there are a few biases that our research or essentially our methodology towards MarketsMojo, the way we present our data, eliminates these biases. So these biases, the first one is the confirmation bias, right? Like a lot of people, when it comes to research, they tend to start looking, they'll properly research a company, right? They're going to research, let's say, DLF, right? And they identify that it's a very good company. Again, not investment advice, just an example. They like the company, right? And they invest a decent amount of money in it. And after that, as time passes by, after a couple of after a few quarters, the markets, the DLF is not looking that great, right? The views are, again, this is just an example. The company is not looking that great. There are pieces of information that are floating in the market that is going against your view, right? So at that point, I would not want to see that. So I'll start discounting that piece of information. Similarly, if I like something, right, if there is some view or there is opinion or a piece of information that essentially supports my view, right? In that case, I'm gonna look at that. I'm gonna share it to all my friends to validate my, or rather confirm my view. So that's confirmation bias. Another bias that I think a lot of people fall prey to, which I think happened yesterday as well, and today as well, is the element of FOMO, fear of missing out, right? Like a lot of people try to stay rational, right? But once you start seeing the change in market or the percentage drop in the market start to fall without any, essentially start to free fall, right? All the rational essentially is thrown out of the window, and you're practically seeing as to what everyone else is doing. You instinctively think that you don't know much, and then you just follow the entire market. So kind of like what happened during the .com bubble as well. You saw a guy in the news essentially talking up a stock, and then you bought it blindly. So did the market. The prices went up, right? But eventually it all crashed, and the bubble burst, right? Anyway, so our data essentially, our methodology essentially cuts through all these biases, these emotional biases, and we are completely data driven, right? So the first thing to start off with is basically, once you come to the platform, if you want to research a company, all you have to do is go to the search bar. Apologies. Go to the search bar and look up for a company. So in this case, I want to see how DLF is doing. I search DLF. Now, coincidentally, I'm here, so I'm already here. Great. So it loaded, right? Now, at MarketsMojo, we basically evaluate companies based on 4 parameters, right? Now, these 4 parameters are also, if you notice, there are 4 dots here. These 4 parameters essentially represent a dot, right? Now, we'll go step by step, right? So the first dot is the quality dot, right? The quality dot represents the long-term fundamental strength of the company, right? So it is purely long-term, and by long-term I mean at least 5 years, right? And within quality, right, we are looking at the growth of the company, we are looking at the capital structure of the company, and we're looking at the management risk of the company, right? So when it comes to the growth of the company, we're looking at what is the sales growth been like, right? What is the EBIT growth looking like for the past 5 years? What is the capital structure of the company? How is it looking? Capital structure meaning how much debt is in the system, right? What is the debt serviceability ratios looking like? And the company, is it generating enough revenue to service its own debt, its interest payments, right? If you can't, the objective of the company might be focused on just servicing the debt rather than profitability. Anyways, and the third one is management risk, right? Now, I just spoke to you about 2 biases. The first one being your your confirmation bias and FOMO, right? Now, and I mentioned that we are primarily data driven. Now, when it comes to management risk, we are not looking at the who behind the company. Who's running the ship? No. We are looking at the what, right? So if a company is being managed well, it will be reflected in the numbers, right? It will be reflected in your ROC, your ROE, what your pledge shares, what is the number of, what are the internal interrelated party transactions happening, what is that number looking like, what is the dividend payout ratio looking like, what is the institutional holdings looking like, right? So although there is a subjective element here, like it seems to be subjective, it is completely data driven, right? So that is quality. Again, it's a long term. We're essentially evaluating the company from a long-term perspective, right? Now the second factor, right, is valuation. Now valuation, I know for a fact, is the most common. I mean, ये तो सबको मालूम होता है. In the market, basically, everyone is familiar with the term valuation, right? Now, if a company is valued very expensive, then it's very likely that the person will take a call of selling the company. It's very expensive, right? Similarly, a company might also be deemed as very attractive, but does that mean you should buy the company? I mean, that is the street language में basically वही एक novice को लगेगा कि ये very attractive है तो खरीद लो, but that is not the right approach. Sure, आप जो but the instinct is right? So to give some more give you some more context to this, right? Now the numbers, we are not coming out of the very attractive slab of below rupees 61. That is something that we have not come up just like that, right? We are using relative valuation here, approaches here. So and we are not using discounted cash flows here solely because वहाँ पे estimation risk होता है, right? अगर आपने एक discount rate पकड़ लिया which is slightly different, या आपका growth rate आपने पकड़ लिया which is slightly different, the intrinsic value is going to be very different, right? So in order to avoid that, we have kept it very simple, but not too simple. We are looking at relative valuation. But relative valuation, to give you an idea what it is, we are looking at what its PE price multiples or earnings multiple is looking like compared to its industry benchmark, right? For example, if the industry benchmark is basically here, right? It is here. Let's say it is 5, right? If DLF's price multiple is above it, right? It might immediately indicate that the company is overvalued, isko बेच देना चाहिए, right? That is not, however, the case, but keeping it very simple, that is what it is. On the other hand, if the company's price multiple or earnings multiple is below its industry benchmark, it is automatically an undervalued company and you should buy it, right? This is, however, not the case. This is not the only thing that we are looking at. Now, we are also taking fundamentals as well, right? So, ऐसा possible है कि a company is above its industry benchmark, right? It's right here, right? Its industry benchmark is this, and the company's price earnings multiples are here. That may be solely because the company's fundamentals might demand it. The company might be a very good company. ऐसा नहीं है कि the fundamentals might demand it, the premium, that's why it's up here. Similarly, the company might be down here, doesn't mean that the company is undervalued immediately. We are also looking at the fundamentals. Fundamentals अगर अच्छा नहीं है, right? The market is discounting it. It will be here, and doesn't mean that it's undervalued. So, from when it comes to valuation, we are not looking at just ऊपर या नीचे. We are also comparing it against its fundamentals, its own past, right, and its peers. Right, so that is the valuation factor that is that we have on our platform. And keep it very easy, very intuitive. We also have like a meter, right? Ki below 61 rupees in this case, the company is very attractive. It is very fair between a certain range and so on and so forth. Right. So until now, we have spoken about 2 dots, right? The quality dot, it's right here, right? And the valuation dot. Now both of them are long-term drivers of the company. Now let's look at the short-term drivers of the company, right? So, financial trend. Okay. So the financial trend essentially is evaluating the latest quarterly results of the company versus its past results, quarterly results, right? So you might notice that there is a score right here, score of 26, correct? So ये score कैसे आया is maybe a question that you might have, right? So what we do is, I will act as the AI system that we have in place, and I'll see what the system does. The quarterly results come in. I will look at all the important key data points, right? For example, मैं अभी sales को देखूंगा. Sales में मार्च का क्वार्टर में जो रिजल्ट आया है, मार्च का क्वार्टरली रिजल्ट्स का, सेल्स का वैल्यू कितना था? सो इट हैज़ जनरेटेड 2134 crores का सेल्स, राइट? नाउ ये सेल्स, was it good or bad, right? How has the sales value grown on a QoQ basis, on a YY basis, against its peers, and a lot of various ways of, we are essentially looking at the data. So this is just one key piece of information. We are also looking at a lot of it. So आप यहाँ पे देख लो, यहाँ पे PBT को भी, we are treating PBT also in a similar fashion, and PBIT, the profit, operating profit margin, and so on. So this is essentially, our system is essentially evaluating all these key factors, right? And it's coming up with a score, right? Keeping it very simple for you guys. अगर score अच्छा है तो result अच्छा हुआ है, right? Obviously, if you want to delve into the why, what are the things that are working for the company based on the latest quarterly results and not working, it is immediately under it, right? Anyways, so so that is what the score is. Now if you look at the right, we also have a chart which which basically has both the price, right? The line graph is the price and the bar graph represents the score the company has, the CFT score. So abhi latest it has a score of 26, but over the past few quarters 15 tha, 12, 6, so it has done very well for itself. And what we have noticed is that companies जिसके CFT score consistently that it is giving positive scores, or another way of saying it is that जिनके quarterly results जो consistently perform कर रहे हैं quarterly on a quarterly basis, the price will eventually start to catch up. अभी आप यहाँ पे ही देख लो 2019 में it was doing horribly, right? -9 का CFT score था and -25 हो गया. The markets were down, but once it consistently started posting the positive numbers, the price eventually caught up, right? So my point being that we have noticed there is a bit of correlation here between the price and the CFT score, and in this case it is and obviously keep in mind that this correlation is not fixed for every company. It behaves differently, but generally speaking we have seen this relationship hold up to a certain extent, right? Okay, so तेरा आपका CFT score हो गया, right? Now the fourth point is the technicals. Okay, so technicals, again, a very common factor that a lot of people maybe so this is for me, so I've completed my CFA, all the exams, but once I was getting into the world of finance, I was bombarded by videos and courses about technical analysis, and I felt like that was what the entry for that serves as an entry gateway towards the world of finance. कि आपको पैसे बनाने हैं, आप technical analysis देख लो, आपको calls मिल जाएंगे, and you can do whatever with it. But that was, I think everyone's familiar with what technical analysis is. But keep in mind, a big disclaimer: we are not giving intraday calls. These are not intraday calls at all, right? We got to look at it from a weekly and a monthly standpoint, right? We are looking at these 7 indicators, MACD, RSI, all your standard numbers indicators are out here, and we are looking at it from a weekly perspective and a monthly perspective, right? And to show you, and glad it's kind of worked out here. So now look at this, turned bullish triangle ka symbol hai, right? Now to highlight that these are not intraday calls, the company turned bullish on, when was this? May 2023, 4th May 2023. यहाँ पे it turned bullish, and then the price has been, price has been bullish since then, right? So all I'm saying is that, and keep in mind, this was more than a year ago, right? So think about this. This is basically not intraday calls. Rather, it's trying to identify the long-term trend of the price, right? आप वो perspective से देखो, ये short term बिल्कुल नहीं है, right? So we have to reiterate, we have 4 dots, right? We have the quality, okay? Quality in this case is average. It can be below average, good, excellent. Right? We have the second factor is valuation. So if you see valuation red है तो यहाँ पे भी red हो गया, right? Quality is orange यहाँ पे भी आ गया, right? Financial trend is very positive, यहाँ पे आ गया, right? And technical analysis, technical summary, it's mildly bullish at the moment, and hence this is also green. So I'm just trying to explain you, essentially, maybe a lot of people miss this, is that हमारे जो dots होते हैं, जो mojo dots होते हैं, people don't understand what it is. So I'm just trying to connect the dots here, right? So you can essentially understand what it is, right? So these are the 4 factors. So abhi, you might have noticed ki, like out of these 4 dots, 2 dots are green and the other dots are, they're not green, right? Keeping it very simple. So what is happening here? Ho kya raha hai bhai? So, and better yet, the question should be, तो मैं करूँ क्या? अभी आपने बताया कि quality average है, okay, sounds good. Valuation is very expensive. Okay, that's a negative thing, right? तो मैं नहीं खरीदूँ, what do you want me to do? But financial trend, let's look at that. Financial trend is very positive. Score is 26. ठीक है, now, okay, very expensive but positive trend. मतलब the financial trend is very positive. Quarterly results are being quite well. And technical analysis देखोगे तो technicals also wise, it is mildly bullish. So what are you trying to say? आप बोलना क्या चाह रहे हो? So, तो basically we learned that this was an issue that a lot of people were facing, right? To simplify all this confusion, because we essentially came up with a Mojo score, right? All the 4 dots working together essentially comes down to a score, or a Mojo score out of the scale of 100, right? So in this case, I think we are sitting right at the edge of the buy scale. Above 70 is a company. If the company is above 70, it is essentially rated as a buy or a strong buy. So in this case, it's a wide. The company is a buy rated company, right? So अगर आपको if you don't want to get into the research, if you don't really want to get into the data, you're happy with just one advice, don't have much time, आप ये dashboard का application कर सकते हो. So basically, why it's a buy, right? You can see perfect. If you can see the score change from a hold. So the company was a hold rated company. It became a buy company on the 3rd of June. So a few days ago, the company has just turned a buy rated company, and now with the score of 70, now okay, buy company ho gaya. Why is it a buy company? All the rationals are right underneath, right? So with the growth of net profits of so and so, the company results has declared very positive. ये तो CFT का एक summary sort of आ गया है यहाँ पे, right? CFT meaning your technical, the financial trend, right? Right here, the 3rd dot. Stock is technically mildly bullish, right? So the technical analysis का element we're talking about. Oh, now this is very interesting. High institutional holding at 21.3%. ये कहाँ पे था, right? I didn't address this, and I will. It's very interesting. Consistent returns over the last 3 years. Very interesting. With the market cap of 1,88,000 crores, it's the biggest company in the sector and constitutes 23% of the sector. By the way, the last 3 rationals essentially were not even highlighted in the 4 points that I've mentioned, right? And we'll get to that now, right? So a basic way of essentially understanding our platform, right? Or essentially the best way of using our platform would be on the left hand side of each of the sections right here. I hope you're noticing this. Like, all the sections on this stock page are highlighted right here on top, right? Financial trend में गए थे हमने, score देखा था 26 का. Now, so under that we have also a few more sections. First off being the price section. So if the market's now it's 4:30, if you've done this a couple of hours ago, you would have noticed that you would have seen that this section, today's price summary, would be live and will be like a ticker, right? वो update होता रहेगा. Similarly markets का भी. So अभी markets में हुआ क्या है? Markets have really done well relatively. Market 3% up है. It's 3.18% away from its 52-week high. It's trading at a bullish moving average. All market cap segments are gaining, right? So in these 2 cards alone, you can essentially learn what's happening in the market and your company, right? So that's the price section. Now, as I was saying, reading this data, left side mein you have your summary cards, and the right side mein you can just dive into the data, right? So first off, return summary. आपने कितना return बनाया 1 साल में? Now, yeah, this is a mistake that a lot of people do, and I think it should be highlighted. Positive returns meaning like आपका 2% return हो गया, 3% return हो गया, या 100% return हो गया. Ideally speaking, celebration should only happen after you look at it from a relative perspective, or rather from a benchmark perspective. You need to have a benchmark in place. So अगर आपका 100% हो गया है, right, and the market is done 200%, right, it is not a cause of celebration. Although you doubled your money, right, you have not done well. You have done horribly compared to the market, right? Because market has given you double in terms of profits alone, right? So you need to understand that it has to be evaluated from a benchmark perspective, because looking at numbers alone, like the returns numbers alone, will not add much value to you, right? Which is why we have essentially compared the performance from a Sensex perspective, like this is my first benchmark, and my second benchmark is the sector, right? Ideally, you want a comparable benchmark. You don't want any benchmark to be the case. आप जाके crypto, आप basically Bitcoin को जाके comparison नहीं कर सकते. That's not a proper comparison. But ठीक है, coming back to this. So on the left you have the summary cards. On the right you can essentially look at it. Now, as I mentioned, benchmark, right? 1 day performance 4.35. Market has done 3.2. Okay, so it's outperformed. 1 week mein it's fallen by 2.81%, but the market has been relatively flat, so it is underperformed the market, right? Now, 3 months mein it's down by 14%, but the market is up by 1%. Right? Often case ऐसा भी हो सकता है कि आपका performance of the company is negative. Like let's say in this case alone, आप पकड़ लो 1 week performance it's down by 2.81%, but the market is down by 5%, right? In which case it is supposed to be a win. Although you have lost money, you have not lost all your money. You're not lost relative to the market. So benchmark wise, once you start looking at your numbers from a benchmark perspective, essentially helps you. It gives you a good perspective, and then you know if you're winning or losing, right? Anyways, yeah. So if you keep on scrolling to the right, you will also find something called as the quartiles. Quartiles, very interesting piece of piece of information that we have right here, right? It's by the way, if you feel a bit lost, yeah, if I'm going too quickly for you, yeah, if you're doing this research by yourself, we always have these information icons, right? आप ये click कर दो, आपको full detail मिलेगा कि ये बोलना क्या चाह रहा है, right? So about quartiles, right? Quartiles essentially gives you a quick view of the performance of the company with its peers and with the overall market. Now, quartiles का फंडा क्या है basically बता दो. आप समझो 100 companies है, right? In a sector. We basically look at those 100 companies. We look at the performance of these companies, right? And we basically split these quartiles based on percentages. So the top 25% basically will be your top, all the companies that come in the top 1 to 25 will be in the top first quartile. And then similarly, jo 25% से 50% के जो companies है, that will be the second and the third and fourth. So basically it will tell you, now look at this, now look at DLF alone, right? यहाँ पे the company QTD basis, quarter to date basis देखोगे, fourth quartile पे आ रहा है. उसका previous quarter में, second quartile में, then again उसके the quarter before that, again the second quartile, and then fourth, second. So if there is a seasonality element here that I'm seeing, but we'll have to look into that. But as you know, as you might notice, it's slightly inconsistent. वो fourth है, second, fourth, second. So consistency है from a, if you look at it from a 3 quarterly perspective, but that's not the case that we're looking at. We're seeing if it is doing what its consistent performance across each quarter. So that is one way of looking at the data, right? Now that is the return section, right? You can obviously go a lot deeper, by the way. Again, just to reiterate, like this is not the piece of information that we have available here. If you click on compare with peers, right? There's a meme out there where basically a dog, a guy throws a ball for a dog and then immediately also throws like 100 balls towards the dog, and मालूम नहीं कहाँ से क्या देखना है, मालूम नहीं क्या करना है. There's a kind of feeling that you might feel if once you start clicking on this compare with peers and यहाँ पे full details देख लो. अभी यहाँ पे तो board meetings, okay, we'll get to this. But basically, a lot of these cards essentially have this more details ka option. Right? There we go. Full details. Right? Okay. Comparison of valuation. We'll get to this. But all of the information is available. If you look at the scroll alone, itna bahut sara information hai. Right? Okay. Coming back to where we were. Then second part, news. Right? News, corporate actions. ठीक है. Corporate actions full details कर दो. आपको समझ में आ जाएगा board meetings का क्या हो रहा है. Now, 13th of May, quarterly results आया था, right? Obviously, it's not ending there. You can just go all the way back to 2007. Dividends का क्या history दिखा रहा है? What is the dividend looking like? How much are we getting? Splits हुआ है कि नहीं for DLF? In the last few years कुछ नहीं हुआ है, bonus भी नहीं आया है, rights भी नहीं हुआ है. So if you want this piece of information, it is clearly available right here, right? 200% का dividend आ रहा है, ex dividend क्या है? Obviously this is the latest one that DLF had. Latest one meaning the one that it had. But yeah, जो भी अगर नया कुछ आएगा, then it will all be updated here. Right? If there are any announcements, again right here. Again, if you want to click on the information, I can see what exactly we are looking at. I का information click कर दो and you get the entire info out here, right? And this is something that I think we're proud of. We've just recently, we have done this quite recently, a year ago. Is that we are essentially making sure that you don't need to go outside the platform. आपको न्यूज़ चाहिए, आपको न्यूज़ देखना है कंपनी के बारे में. We have news and news and news and news for you. Keep in mind that don't just rely on that. Basically making sure that your research starts and ends here, right? At least you are very well informed about what is happening about in this case DLF. All you have to do the news section and देखना हो क्या रहा है. You can just simply just go and scroll. To launch 11 million square feet with revenue something. You can just click on this and it will take you through to the news article, right? Financials. Okay. To all my CA friends and all my and all the people who like to just dive into the data. मेरे को summary कुछ नहीं देखना. I just want data and that's it. मैं analysis खुद से कर लूँगा. We have covered you. For the people who don't like to jump into the data but still want to know what's happening, everything is right here. You can just look at the quarterly analysis highlights on a QOQ basis. देख रहे हैं हम यहाँ पे. If you want to see on a YY basis what is happening, you just click right here. We have a small icon. Just click on the YOY and then immediately you are shot to the right side of the cards, and then you have net sales कितना हुआ है. It's gone up by 46% versus the last year, March में 2023. I mean when it fell by 6% almost, right? So all the info is out here now. If it's all only a matter of just scrolling. As I mentioned, the summary cards are on the left. All the important factors are key data points are highlighted on the left, and all the summary cards are on the right. आपको बस net sales देखना है. Sorry, I mean like if you want to see essentially all the important points. I mean net sales का हुआ क्या है, right? So if you see it has gone up by 2,134 crores. Compared to this last quarter, it's grown significantly by 40%, right? Versus 5.43% over December ka growth mein. I'm sorry, I confused the numbers here. Sorry, we are right here. Yeah, 40.43 versus 12.88% ka growth over the previous quarter. So if you see, by the way, I have no idea. I have just picked this company out just 5 minutes before we started this, and I'm essentially learning more and more about the company, right? So that's that's the value that MarketsMojo brings to the table here. कि आपको people might think that researching a company might be difficult and or time consuming, to get some quality research reports out. We have you covered right here for seasoned investors, researchers, seasoned and novice investors. We have kept it very simple for you. And if you find that also complicated, which not no offense, even I find it kind of overwhelming, summary cards can work for you, right? So now as you scroll down, financials you'll have your quarterly, half yearly, 9 monthly, annual P&L, your profit and loss, your cash flows and so on. So all the data is immediately available. To even dive into the data, you can just click on full details, consolidated, standalone basis में भी मिल जाएगा. And also you can select which quarter you want to, select to view the data, right? Change भी आपको समझ में आ रहेगा क्या है. So let's try one. Let's change this to 2020. See, the change is immediately there. You don't need to, pull out Excel and put some efforts there. We are doing all the hard work for you. All right. So अभी cash flows हो गया. Now let's look at the shareholding. Now I mentioned at the start that institutional holding represents a decent amount of percentage here. Right, at the top, right? Let's look at the dashboard. Correct. High institutional holdings, 21.3%. Right, that is right here, shareholding. So, like I love the simplicity here. Is that it's a pie chart of the shareholding. 74% are promoters here, right? DLF, I didn't know that. 3.5% are mutual funds, 1% almost insurance companies hold it, and 16.53 FIIs and non-institutions is 4.62, right? So that is a current shareholding snapshot, right? Snapshot to this is the current situation, right? How has it changed, right? Because I might hold a company today, I might not hold a company tomorrow, right? So you can evaluate or compare the shareholding right here, आप द कार्ड नेक्स्ट टू इट ना, आप यहाँ पे देख सकते हो मार्च के क्वार्टर में कितना था वर्सेस दिसंबर के क्वार्टर में कितना था, एंड व्हाट हैज बीन द चेंज सो फार. सो इन दिस केस promoters have not really moved, FIIs have increased, mutual funds have decreased, insurance have been decreased but उतने बड़े मार्जिन से नहीं हुआ है. DI is also kind of flat, so are the non-institutions. हमको और डिटेल्स चाहिए. Click and you have, again, like I told you, like you want data, we'll throw data right in your face. So you have not only the first 2 quarters, we are going back all the way till 2022, right? Then also top public shareholders kaun hai? Who are the people who hold at least more than 5%? In this case, there are none, right? But above 1%, like above 5%, we have the government of Singapore. That's interesting. And Invesco Global Fund. Promoters holding who are the promoters, right? Out of that, what was it? Out of that 74%, okay? Out of that 74%, who are those guys? Rajdhani Investments and Agencies Private Limited. They represents a major chunk out of that 73%. Out of which, and then you can see that there are a few people out there, some LIPs, and actual individuals also out there who essentially represent the promoter holdings. So the data is there, and if you like the data, actually I personally prefer to look at this shareholding. I like to see what the big guys are doing, right? Like मैं तो अकेला हूँ. Institution tends to have a decent amount of team looking and just diving into that one company. उनका full due diligence करके they'll take a call, right? So in this case, that's what I personally do. Sometimes I just look at what the big guys are doing and I can see, okay, ठीक है, यहाँ पे the smarter guys have done their research, like crazy amount of research, have met them, have spoken to the management, and then taken a call to buy a certain percentage, right? So this is something that I personally find a lot of value in, right? Just a moment. मेरा गला थोड़ा dry हो गया. I'll just take a. Okay, I'm back. So now company CV. Okay, DLF Limited is engaged. Okay, about the company, right? Like a lot of people might just not even look at what the company does, right? Just look at the numbers, but also it's a very important point to look at as to what the company is all about, right? Full details click करो, आपको full info भी मिल जाएगा इस पे. ऐसी right? And then उसके बाद last but not the least, the comparing section, right? Okay. Compare with peers, right? Again, it's not a good idea to always look at the data in isolation. What if there are better companies than DLF, right? So what you have done is हमने quality, valuation, financial trend score, ये तीनों factors को हमने basically उठाया है, and then we have compared. See, as you should have noticed that we have done this for every company, every listed company in India, and we are doing it on a global scale also now. Infin, if you should definitely go check this place out. We have done this very recently, and it is, we are going above, and we are essentially, going beyond the borders of India and covering a lot of other international markets. But in this case, we are looking at this DLF's peers. So DLF में अभी Prestige Estates, right? Phoenix Mills, Oberoi Realty, इनका quality क्या है, इनका valuation क्या है, इनका financial trend score क्या है. So DLF is sitting right here. Average very expensive score is quite high, right? Now if you want to look at the quality alone, then you can look at it by just full details कर दो, आपको full info मिल जाएगा. There are 166 companies here, right? Look at this scroll part. आपको data चाहिए, आपको पूरा मिल जाएगा, right? And similarly, you can do that for valuation and then also for the returns, right? You don't want to look at returns. I mean, returns is an important piece of information. So now just looking at this alone, in 1 year, 62% returns ही दिया है, while there are other companies like Prestige that have done quite well for itself, 224% over the last 1 year, right? And today it's done quite well for itself again. But my point being that data should be looked at from a from a not from an isolation perspective. From you have to look at it from a relative perspective, right? Again, yeah, and shareholding. I I always love to see shareholding का क्या चल रहा है. Like it's always good to look at the shareholding with peers as well, because sometimes you might notice that sometimes you might notice that some companies, although in the same industry, same sector, doing almost practically the same having the same business model, might have a completely different shareholding, right? So there might be something behind there, right? You need to look at. So now in this case, it's comparing with Godrej Properties. यहाँ पे FIIs are like almost 30% compared to 16.53 here. Mutual funds are more or less the same. Promoters are not as much, but still holds more than 50%. So data is available. Basically, we're making sure, now that's the final section by the way, data is available, right? We have summarized it for you. We have done it given the data in such a precise way that, as a novice or someone who's starting off, it is all easily accessible, easily understandable. And again, as I'm highlighting, when I started off my journey in this space, I was like, I didn't understand a lot of, let's say, these key factors, right? मेरे को समझ में नहीं आता था ये P ratio होता क्या है, right? You just click on this, you'll find what these mean, right? These are various valuation parameters to look at to arrive to the valuation. Yeah, if you look at some, let's look at today's price summary. The card captures major price important events through the day, highlights positive and so on and so forth. So we are there for you even when we are not there for you. The information icons will take care of the rest, right? Stock DNA and so on and so forth. So summarizing this, what we have done for the past 30-ish minutes, right? We have learned to research a company, right? And in this case, if you don't have time for it, यार मेरे को नहीं करना है सब research, बहुत time लग रहा है. इसने तो 30 मिनट लगा दिए, राइट? अभी मेरे को 30 मिनट का टाइम नहीं है, ये तो एक 9 to 5 जॉब जैसा लग रहा है. मेरा ऑलरेडी काम है, आई डोंट वांट टू डू दैट. इन दैट केस द स्कोर इज़ फॉर यू, राइट? नाउ आई बिलीव दैट आपको फुल रिसर्च रिपोर्ट मिल जाएगा. इट्स अवेलेबल फॉर एवरी वन. बट द स्कोर, इफ यू वांट टू get the score, sir, basically you will have to subscribe. And again, reiterating, it's Dr. Mohit Batra's 50th birthday, and it is our company's 9th anniversary, and we are giving out our best offers. You are not going to find them. I think it's right here. You can avail these offers, Mojo 1 and Mojo Professional. All you have to do is click on the description below. I think you will find that along with like a Q&A, link to a Q&A where you can give your questions. But again, these are going to end tonight. We are a few hours away from these offers being taken off the table, and then they won't be there for at least a year, right? Another anniversary offer will take another 1 year for you. Basically, my point being, like, the prices are going to go down, going to go up, and eventually we're going to come up with more offerings. Our prices are going to go slightly even higher. So take advantage, lock in the price. For 3 years, you're locking in the price at a very discounted rate of, at 83% discount and 70% discount. You're getting 3 years. Anyways, moving back. So now that I've researched the company, abhi karna kya hai? What you could do is you could, if you want like a theme of companies. Like Kevin, तूने तो बता दिया कि you cover all the companies, right? I can look into if let's say I already have a portfolio, I can look at each and every company. I can see how each companies are doing, right? But I want to learn more about, like, if नए पैसे डालने हैं, I want to know about the best companies, right? I don't want to go through 4,000 companies and, मेरे को time नहीं होता. I will take a lot of time, and please help me out, right? This exact scenario was highlighted to us via our feedback card. We got a lot of feedback. By the way, if you get the chance, you can also share your feedback. But we got this feedback here. Sure, whatever, you're giving the research of all the companies, but I want the 1%, the top 1%, right? So in which case, basically, we have that accessible for you. We created that those represent the Mojo stocks. So you can access it by going on the stocks page, click on the top Mojo stocks, and right here, Mojo stocks to invest today, right? Now these are companies that represent the top 1% of the companies, right? So यहाँ पे आप Jupiter Wagon, basically we will have, so this represents the top 10 companies, right? Across across all market caps. So large cap में आप click करोगे तो आपको these are the top 11 companies out of the 306 companies. Mid cap में देखोगे this is the top 7 companies out of 403 companies, and then so on and so forth. But these are the top 10 alone, right? यहाँ पे we are highlighting what is the score of the company. In very recency sake, we are also highlighting what its daily changes, right? Its returns since it's been added, right? Its benchmark performance, BSE 500, and the sector alone, and the date when it was added. So this was added a year ago, almost. Let's look at something more recent. So this was added 6 days ago, right? The score is 85, and has already generated an alpha of almost 16.5%, right? Compared to the BSE 500, but आप देखोगे sector को भी उसने alpha sector में outperformed its sector also by 8%. So you basically have all these companies out there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now you might wonder कि sir आप तो बस cherry picking कर रहे हो यार, मुझे like a lot of people do this where they'll only highlight the best companies and they won't highlight the losing companies, right? So we are not doing that. For complete transparency, you can just go to the full list right here, right? And you can see all the returns that have been generated since they were added to the list. So अब यहाँ पे duration देख लो, इसका returns क्या था, benchmark का returns क्या था for the same time period, its entry price and its exit price. So I'll just scroll. Okay, let me just, yeah. So if you keep scrolling down, you'll see that भाई ये तो positive returns ही दिखा रहा है. Like, are we that effective? So we are effective, but not always. We see there are some red performance as well, but not as much as the green ones, right? So the Mojo stocks have done very well for itself when it comes to delivering returns. But we are also not we are not gods. We also sometimes get things wrong, but as you see, it's not a lot of times, right? So these are the top 10. These are the top 1% of the companies in the market right now. Again, these are we can access them by looking at it from a large cap, mid cap, small cap, micro cap perspective, right? So this is, and then we have, now this is the top 1%. Now when it comes to themes, right, you might have noticed this in there's one platform, I can't remember the name. Basically you have theme buckets of shares based on a certain theme, right? So we decided forget them, we can use our own IP and essentially come up with much better approaches of coming up with strategies, right? So in which case we came up with our 3 best strategies, and they are hidden turnarounds, momentum now stocks, and reliable performance, right? So यहाँ पे I will my colleague Prashant will take you through all these. So he basically comes in on every Monday and highlights what were the companies that entered these 3 strategies along with the Mojo stocks, all the companies that have entered and exited the list. You can stay tuned for his webinars on Mondays. He takes you through all the changes that have come in on the platform on these 4 strategies, and you can accordingly learn about it as to what has happened, right? So now हमने discuss किया अब तक about how to research a company, right? That is done. If you don't want to do a lot of legwork, I won't lie to you. There is you can't cover 4,000 companies, right? And if you just want to get that one list of companies that are the top 1%, right? Mojo stocks for you, right? But मेरे को वो भी नहीं करना यार. मेरे को just give me that one stock of the month, and here I have a job. No offense, Kevin, I have a job. I can't do this all the time. I have money coming in though. I would like to invest, but I don't have the time to look into it. So for you guys, we have the stock of the month, right? So this is where basically our chief investment officer comes in. He looks at he basically isolates the entire market based on the score of the company, right? he isolates all the companies which has a really good score. Keep in mind the score I'm referring to here is this score. It's like a revision कर रहा हूँ मैं आपका. DLF का score क्या था? It was 70, right? Similarly, you go, so as I was saying, basically stock of the month mein, our CIO will essentially isolate the market based on only with companies or filter out the companies which have a really high score, right? वो high score हो ले लिया उन्होंने. Then उसके बाद the next step here is basically sit with his analysts, his team of analysts, and basically then will accordingly study these companies to see which one has the highest potential for growth, right? And once he has identified these companies, then he'll accordingly come up with a proper investment rationale and and publish a stock of the month, right? Which comes out on the 10th of each month. So I think we are 5 days away for June's stock of the month. So stay tuned for that. So once the stock is published, our CIO, Mr. Sunil Damania, will come on a webinar just like this one and will start addressing these questions that our premium users have, right? So if you are a premium user, you will get the opportunity to come in on this webinar and ask questions, right? Regarding, for in this case, let's say May Wellspun was the company. Now on the page down below, you'll see as to why Wellspun was selected. You'll have a summary of all the companies out here. You'll have stock performance. You'll have stock info, key ratios, and then as you go down and down, you have investment arguments. You'll have the investment argument as to why Wellspun Corp, right? It's a delightful read. It is not. There is a decent amount. It's a delightful read. I think once you start going through all of this, you will realize you'll essentially are going through our thought process of our CIO and our team of analysts, right? Right. So again, going back to the stock of the month page, basically we're looking at all the companies. Now, if you see, this call status is also available. We have open, a lot of them are open, and the performance also of these companies are available. Now, some of them have been closed. We are not shy. Again, as I mentioned, we are not shy to show our negative performance as well. Some of them have not done well, but some of them are doing very well and are still open. Keep in mind that please don't just look at this in piece of information and take action on it. As far as I might be showing you a dummy account. So please don't take this information seriously. I would recommend you basically go and buy the subscription. And this is a paid feature, and to access this platform, you'll have to subscribe to our platform. This is part of the Mojo Professional and Mojo One package, and it's completely accessible. Keep in mind that this link is in the description. The packages won't be active after 12 p.m. today. So take advantage, lock in the price for the next 3 years, and let's move on. So, and I understand that it's been 53 minutes. I've been passed notes, so I'll keep it brief. So we have learned how to research a company. We have learned about if you don't have time for it. We've spoken about a few strategies that we have in place, and if you don't have time for even that, just that one company for the month, stock of the month is for you, right? So, what is next, right? So yesterday's volatility, I think, gave us a few insight. I mean, I was speaking to some of my colleagues here who are also investors, and unfortunately, they had invested very recently, so their entry price was, they bought at the top, sort of, right? So when the markets fell, I asked ki kya chal raha, what's the plan? Like, are you panicking? Like, what's happening? So all my friends basically came and said that, yaar, Kevin, मैंने तो सोचा था कि like I will make some quick money from this, right? But now I'm a long-term investor, right? I'm gonna hold this until this company is going to give me returns, right? So is that approach the right approach, right? The buy and hold strategy, right? A very so I believe a lot of people yesterday after the market dropped might have adopted this strategy, and instead of cutting their losses, not that you needed to do that, but the buy and hold strategy. Does that really work? Right. So we have me and an analyst who works here, Mr. Vigil. We essentially sat down and looked at the data, right? And we essentially found out some very interesting insights. And I would be covering that in next week. But it's safe to say that 1 out of 200 companies, out of 1 out of 200 companies, this works, right? I will get into I'll jump into more about that strategy in the next webinar. But my producer is doing this, so I'll just quickly wrap this up. So now we have spoken about how to get investment ideas. Now what to do with these investment ideas, right? You don't want to hold on to these companies forever. Now some companies may be good to start off with. So people might take those investment ideas and invest like in their lump sum or SIP or whatever, but they will invest and they'll forget about it, right? The buy and hold strategy. Does that work? As I mentioned, 1 out of 200, right? So what is the solution to this? Like, does the cycle end at identifying, ठीक है चलो मेरे को ideas मिल गया अभी करना क्या है? Does the cycle end there? As you see, it's not completing, right? You also need to know when to sell the companies, right? And to address this exact specific thing, we have something known as the model portfolio. So all you have to do to access that platform is just go to the portfolio section. Go to the model portfolio section right here and click. Okay. So turns out that I have 5 model portfolios. So the limit is 5. Let me just delete one. Okay. Right. So now model portfolio, all you have to do is go to the portfolio section, model portfolio pe chale jao, select this, create a portfolio. We will take only 2 pieces of information, right? But it's enough, right? It's not it's not limited. It be just piece, a normal piece, it's crucial piece of information. मेरे को 5 लाख का portfolio बनाना है. So it's 5,000, 50,000, 5 lakhs, correct? Now risk profiles. Again, something that I think a lot of people might miss out. You should, ideally speaking, categorize yourself as an aggressive investor or a moderate investor or a conservative investor, right? So if you have the stomach to volatility, if you can stomach the volatility, right? जो कल, if the volatility that we are going through right now does not bother you at all, right? Maybe you are an aggressive guy, right? If you can somewhat handle it, yeah, but you're a moderate guy. But if yesterday was like a nightmare for you, like the past 3 days, right? You are very likely a conservative investor. Ideally speaking, there are a few tests out there. You can like take a few questionnaires and learn essentially what kind of investor you are. But when it comes to volatility, that is also something, that is also a way to identifying yourself. But okay, so I have 5 lakhs. I'm an aggressive guy. I've read and understood the disclaimers. Ideally speaking, you should do that. I'm just skipping it because we are running short on time. And I would like to do a Q&A as well. So link is in the description, guys. Please post your questions. Okay. It's checking, it's looking for asset allocation optimize. Okay. Allocating across the highest rated stocks. 5 lakh allocate kare. Now 10 stocks, great. Allocating across 8 sectors. Diversification ho raha hai. Highest is auto. 100% portfolio have excellent or good quality. Portfolios have a better positive or better financial trend. Mildly bullish, better bullish or better technical trend. And I have my 10 companies, right? Now this model portfolio that I've created is not going to be same for everyone. This is my own unique model portfolio. अभी समझो आप आ गए, आपने कुछ आधे घंटे में, या better yet, let's say you come in and do the same process in 1 week's time, right? This list is not going to be the same. Your risk profile, the amount of money you want to deploy will all have an impact on and obviously what is happening in the market at that point, right? Will all come down and tell you exactly what will essentially dictate what your portfolio is going to be, right? So यहाँ पे not only, so as I mentioned, अभी आप stock, अब Mojo stocks ही पकड़ लो, the top 1%. वहाँ पे we didn't tell you how much to buy, neither did we tell you when to sell, right? We are covering this here. So this cycle is basically ending right? This cycle of, you know, मेरे को ideas मिल गए हैं, मैंने खरीद के रख दिया, the company, let's say, is published some bad quarterly results continuously, and now the fundamentals are not dictating that level of premium that it used to, right? It's time to sell, but people might not update themselves, and then, you know, that it's, you lose out on a lot of money, right? So that cycle ends once you know कि ठीक है चलो बेचने का time आ गया. People hate selling their companies. Again, another bias, people will sell their companies if their companies are performing for them very quickly, and they'll hold on to their losers. It's a thing that even I go through. I try to improve myself in this field, but a lot of people, you know, you can. I think everyone, all the people who are watching this right now have gone through this. They'll have that one loser, and they would have had, you know, they would have wished कि यार I would have held on to that winner, right? So basic idea is that the cycle ends once you know when to sell, and you need to know how much you need to own, right? You will get a list of portfolio right here. It's going to be completely diversified along with the amount of allocation you are going to get, right? Once you have this list, click on continue. You'll have a entire deal sheet available for you. You can send this to your broker. You can deploy this by yourself, and you're done, right? But is this it? Are we ending the journey here right here? No, right? आपको आपका email ID पे platform पे भी आपको updates आएगा as to if the company has to be sold, if a new company has to be bought, आप कितना reduce करना है, कितना add करना है. If I have more cash to deploy, I can add cash, I can add more investments, I can generate a new portfolio by itself. And आप देखो portfolio score of the company is also highlighted here. It is very high. Okay. So now that's the cycle ended, right? हमने research कैसे करना है समझ लिया हमने the top 1% companies का हमने वो list कैसे मिलते हैं वो भी समझ लिया हमने. That one stock, if you don't have the time यार मेरे को you know यार I don't have 48 hours in my day, so I just give me that one stock, or give me that 1% of the companies. We have highlighted that as well, but also highlighted that journey does not end there, right? Like it's a cycle, right? And the model portfolio takes care of that. And personally speaking, this is the right way of doing it, right? Investment is not a one-time journey. Like आपने खरीद लिया अभी खत्म हो गया. That's not the case. It is a cycle, and you need to keep rotating. Okay, to give you so basically that's about it. We'll take a few questions, and also wanted to highlight that before we go in, just wanted to highlight that 9th anniversary hai sir, right? It's ending soon, and by ending soon, it's ending in a few hours, right? You can essentially lock in the price of 25,000 for the span of 3 years. Keep in mind, this is not 25,000 per year. This is 25,000 for 1 year, and you get 2 years free, right? Additionally, cutting your cost by 3, right? Mojo Professional में भी आपको for 17,999 you for 1 year, if you buy it, you can get 2 years free as well. The prices on the website you will find are 1,49,997, and for Mojo Professional the prices are at 59,997, right? So let's do a few questions if we have any, and then we can wrap it up. I have a question from Mr. Jitesh Kumar. Hi team, I wanted to know that shall I go with stock investment directly or with MF? Okay, that is more of a personal opinion, sir. I mean, really again depends on you. I would maybe the best thing to do here is maybe if you could have like a one-on-one chat. My email ID is kevin@MarketsMojo. I can have we can essentially have like a one-on-one chat. I can and basically answer this question, but this requires more input from you, right? Like I don't like if you are, so for example, I am an aggressive guy. I'm a very aggressive guy. Aggressive matlab I'm a crypto guy. Crypto level volatility I can handle, right? So for me, I would be a very aggressive guy, so I would directly go with stock investments rather than MF. And so that's just me though. But for you, I would say that maybe getting to know you a bit better is it's unique, right? Like it's depends person to person. So maybe if you could, let's continue this chat. My email ID again is Kevin KEVIN @marketsmojo.com. You can just share me your questions and I'll have it addressed. Next question, Mr. Milan. Due to multiple products like PMS, model portfolios, top Mojo stocks, stock of the month momentum, there is a confusion what the subscriber should do. It's a very valid feedback. Thank you, sir. But to highlight, PMS is basically okay. Up the stock of the month, as I mentioned. Okay, so now keeping it very simple, I'll break this down methodologically. Momentum, turnaround, reliable. These are three strategies. I didn't go through them today. My colleague Mr. Prashant will take care of them. But momentum now are all the companies, right? This strategy essentially captures companies irrespective to its quality, right? Like it's momentum है तो company list में आती है, right? So they are and momentum once gone, the stock is gone from the list, right? So it follows a theme. Turnaround companies are like for really aggressive risk-taking people. They are companies that have just posted their quarterly results that have been very good compared to like मैं CFT score आपको जो दिखाया था मैंने. I'll just share my screen. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Yeah, well, keep it very simple. Basically, जो score आपका अगर -10, -10, and then it after a while it has published a good quarterly result, right? Then that's a turnaround, right? And that's just one factor or one parameter that we look at when we add companies. These are to the strategy. So it's a very aggressive. Yes, these companies might not be even a buy rated company on our platform, right? But it has done that, and there is a scope for revival. Like there is a much higher alpha opportunity here. It's very aggressive for very aggressive people. Reliable are basically for conservative people. Now these are companies in these strategies have been consistently giving performance, right, over the span. These guys are these stocks are for something that your father can buy. Basically it's something that you can rely on. Keeping it as simple as that. Now, stock of the month is, however, unique. Basically, we're looking at how much potential growth there is. There's a lot of thought process that goes behind selecting the stock of the month. There is, as I mentioned, there's complete investment rationale. Ideally speaking, that one report should definitely go through it, right? PMS and model portfolio. I would say PMS is, the entry barrier is 50 lakhs. Model portfolio, that is not the case. And there's a lot more to it. I think we are kind of running short on time. We can take this offline. We'll glad to talk to you about this. My email ID again is Kevin KEVIN @marketsmojo.com. You can shoot me an email. We can continue this conversation offline. Next question. Can you show us where we can see the Diwali portfolio, sir? This Diwali portfolio, okay, this is something that my colleague Prashant would know. I think you won't find this on the website, but I may be wrong. So let me get back to you on this, sir. Do we have a screener for getting all scripts based on the score? That's a very good feedback, sir. At the moment, I'll tell you what the best way. So people who are not aware, we have a product that goes by the name of Screener. Just share my please share my screen, please. Yeah, thank you. Right. So the Screener is essentially available via the stock section. All you have to do is go stocks, Screener pe jao, and at the moment we don't have what you have mentioned, the companies with strong buy and buy, but the closest thing to that would be isolating the companies based on the dots. So आप Mojo experts पे आ जाओ, click on quality is selected. Okay, now so this is how it works. Select the filters you want, and वो right में आ जाएंगे. right? And then you choose what you want. So now the financial trend is positive, very positive. That's great. It's the latest quarter. Then you have remove the previous quarter. We'll keep it very simple this time. We'll keep it very simple this time. Better way of doing it with Mojo logic. We can achieve this objective here far easier, quickly. Quality excellent, good, great. यहाँ पे select हो गया. Valuation भी very attractive हो गया. Outstanding, very positive. And technicals maybe let's add bullish and mildly bullish. You know what? Just to get that strong buy and buy, let's pick the cream of the top of the very best. Let's go with outstanding यहाँ पे. Oh, 0 आ गया. Very positive करते. 3 companies आ गए. Natco Pharma, Ashoka, Buildcon and PNC. In PNC Infra Tech. See, now these companies are very strong. See, I've isolated the companies ka filter to such an extent कि essentially this is the closest way of getting these companies, right? Now another Ashoka, इसको भी देख लेते हैं. Natco Pharma, right? Also score above 80. Like it's a strong buy में तो आ गया. ये भी Ashoka, Buildcon and Natco Pharma, all 3 that we isolated, right? Or all here. Right. So you can play with this. I would say कि आपको जो I forgot your name, sir, but if you want to get your strong buy and buy, we don't have that at the moment. But I would say the closest way of getting this list, just do what I did. Isolate them based on the score. The colors, and you'll get your list. Next question, please. We don't have any more questions, but I want to kind of give a small glimpse of what we'll be doing next week. I know my producer is basically ऐसे कर रहा है. Just please share my screen. I'll just give you a glimpse of the next week. There we go. The buy and hold strategy. I just wanted to show you one slide, right? And then we'll take it next week. Only 1.3% of the companies have generated 60% CAGR, right? Over the past 10 years. 1.3%, right? While Sensex has given 11.25%, right? So आपका यहाँ पे ही break हो जा it is यहाँ पे ही break हो जाता है, right? Like all these companies have not done well for itself, and we'll get into this next week. I'm really excited to present all this data. Today we didn't get the chance to do it, but I'm very excited and to talk about this buy and hold strategy. Does it work? Does it not work? So the numbers are very interesting. Anyways, I hope you, by the way, took as much value as you could from the webinar. The name is Kevin Vincent. My email ID again is Kevin, Kevin, as spelled, @MarketsMojo.com. Guys, keep in mind that the discounts, right, are going to be going out today after 12, maybe even earlier than that. The discounts are not going to be lower for the rest of the year. And we have a stream of products that we are planning to come out with very soon. I'm quite excited about that as well. And again, the links are in the description. And good luck. And I'll hope to see you next week as well.